it finally clicked that I could see how a group of young men would want to show off for a young lady. Yeah. I mean, you could show off by, I don't know, winning in the go-kart race, not necessarily like attempted murder for hire situation, but Hi, I'm Portia Locker.
And I'm Christy Hawthorne.
And this is Coastal Crimes. And welcome back. As you know, we are on episode 6 today, where we're going to deep dive into the second attempt on Carlo Troiani's life. Last episode, we talked about the first attempt. And so today we are deep diving into the second attempt. Take it away, Christy.
Which is really crazy. And just to remind our listeners that Carlo Troiani was killed, in a murder plot masterminded by his wife, Laura.
Yes.
Who had been plotting this murder for months.
Yes.
And again, she had slept her way through several men trying to find a hitman, trying to find an assassin.
Right.
Letting people know that she just couldn't stand to be with her husband. And didn't want a divorce because she wanted the life insurance proceeds.
Right. And was willing to give the Marines a cut of $500 for someone's life. So just, at this point, we're episode 6. I'm exhausted, okay? Yeah. I'm exhausted because this woman, Laura, will not let it go by any means necessary, And in the last episode, I don't want to harp too much on the last episode, but I really want our listeners to understand that she attempted over and over. And at no point in time did she pause for the cause and say, never mind, this is, you know what, I've come to my senses. Yeah. If anything, Carlo said we can get a divorce. He tried counseling. We could get a divorce. I will give you child support. I will give you alimony. If you're just above working and caring for the kids, I will release you. And if she was so focused on getting rid of Carlo, there's so many other options. She could have left in the middle of the night with the kids. Actually, she could have just left them there, but you know what I mean? Like,
they would have been better
she would have
off.
been doing a favor, but as we're deep diving, there's so many other ways that she could have gone about it. Now I'm getting creative for her, like, girl.
Yeah.
And so
it's really an exhausting process. I mean, this is a really heavy subject when you think about, a spouse wanting the other spouse dead, and nothing. There were, as far as Laura saw, there were no options. Divorce was not an option. Leaving him was not an option. The only way that she was going to be satisfied, and she said this over and over again, told numerous people, Carlo had to die.
Right.
And so the first attempt was, she was supposedly stranded, and Carlo was sent to go look for her, but it was a wild goose chase, and he was going to be ambushed by the group of Marines in his own parking lot in his own apartment building in Vista. I think it was Foothill Drive.
Yes.
And then that night, because that was aborted because Carlo came with a friend, Marty Gunter.
Right.
Then the backup plan that night was to go in and slit his throat.
Right. And Russell volunteered as tribute in that situation. Yeah. Russell said, I'll go in and I'll go slit his throat. It's just so.
Because Laura was furious. It did not
She was
happen.
Pissed. So now she's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So now we are talking about the second attempt on Carlo's life. And dare I say, they get creative this time around. And so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. So it was an open secret, as we mentioned, that Laura and the Marines, because other Marines, apart from this group of 4 to 5 Marines who called themselves the Gremlins, were well aware of the attempt. There was another Marine by the name of Robert Guerrero. He was privy to this information. Marines were just not saying anything because maybe they didn't think this was actually real. This could have been some sort of fantasy that these young Marines were just tossing around. But it was an open secret, and so the following day of that
Yes.
the previous murder attempt, Jeffrey Meisner had told Robert Guerrero about his girlfriend, Laura. His girlfriend.
Laura.
And that she was trying to get someone to kill her husband. And so he asked his roommate about how to blow up a car.
Come on.
This is going to be...
Come on.
Yeah.
First of all, the first sentence that you just said prior to blow up the car said, my girlfriend wants me to kill her husband. Now, on what planet would that sentence even make sense?
And Laura was not his girlfriend.
Not even close.
In trial, it would later come out that she had never slept with Jeffrey Meisner. She had slept with, I think it was one of the Russells, if I remember correctly. And I'll fact check that and get back to you. But
yes.
I think that Meisner was infatuated with Laura. I think Laura sees this this infatuation, sees it as a weakness, and sees that I can manipulate this particular young Marine because he's in love with me.
Right.
And maybe she paid him a particular attention, talked to him in a certain way. And he thought that I'm doing this for her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so just getting back to it, it just kind of finally clicked for me. It clicked for me. Not saying that any of this is right, but my family and I, we were at Boomers, if you will, if you've been around in North County long enough, also known as Family Fun Center, Boomers, Bullwinkles, whatever you want to call it. And so we did the mini golf. We did the golf, mini golf. We did the go-karts. We did everything.
Yeah.
Even laser tag. My husband had never played laser tag in his life, which, fun fact, love you, honey. But we're there. We're having a great family time. And I see a group of young Marines. Everyone just hold on with me. I'm not saying anything, but it just kind of clicked. Yeah. It was 5 young men and 1 young lady. She was dating one of the guys in the group. It was her boyfriend, if you will. We had interaction. And so as you're saying this about this young man being infatuated and him saying that Laura was his girlfriend, and clearly she was not. She might have had her eye on somebody else. But boom, it kind of clicked. That 5 young, impressionable Marines, they're all hanging out. One individual is dating the girl, but, you know, if you want to be macho and chauvinistic and show off, and, you know, they were all trying to ride the golf carts fast to impress her and all these things. And they were very respectful group. I think that they're amazing. But it finally clicked that I could see how a group of young men would want to show off for a young lady. Yeah. I mean, you could show off by, I don't know, winning in the go-kart race, not necessarily like attempted murder for hire situation, but
and think about this though too. I mean, now we have women Marines, and there's they have risen in population as far as women Marines. And
correct.
Camp Pendleton probably, even though I know that there was my sister was a Marine and she was stationed at Camp Pendleton, so I know that in fact there were women Marines, but there were not quite a lot of them. So when a young Marine would go to the E Club, there's just other Marines there. There's other males there.
Right.
So when there was a female at the E Club, it was very exciting, and you were vying for her attention. You wanted to be the one to dance with her.
Yes.
You wanted to buy her a drink. You wanted to be the one to sit with her. So if Laura and Kim, they're coming to the E Club on a regular occasion.
Right.
Didn't matter if they were married. Here we've got these 2 females, and they are hot commodities. And so then these, men, as they often do, are kind of vying for her attention.
Right.
There's a lot of macho, kind of probably conversation going on, a lot of showing off, a lot of bravado.
Yes.
And here, we will do this for you, Laura.
Yes.
And so Meisner goes to he wants to do this for his girlfriend, and
in his mind.
Robert Guerrero, how do I blow up a car by running a wire from a spark plug to a carburetor? Now, I know nothing about vehicles. I know nothing about mechanics, so I don't even know how that was supposed to work. But now this was the plan. We're not going to shoot him. We're not going to
stab him or slit his throat.
now we're going to do this because this could look like maybe an accident and maybe it's untraceable. Like, oh my gosh, it's just happened. So Russell Sanders had shared a story how they had practiced. He shared a story with another Marine, by the way.
They all
that
have blabbermouths.
I know.
Gosh.
They're not keeping this a secret.
No.
So they attached a wire to a spark plug of Kevin Watkins' motorcycle and hooked the other end to a mouse to electrocute it. And then they watched it die, which is very sadistic. Now, I know it's a little mouse, but...
Does it matter? You know what I mean? PETA has taught me a lot. They all matter. You know, like, come on.
Well, and then they watched it die. They just didn't shock the poor little thing. No,
let's and then they
finish.
sat and watched
and so
it.
I don't really know what it takes to kill a mouse, but I'm sure it takes a lot more juice than that to actually, you know.
Right.
I have no idea.
They seem like the kids on the playground that would take a magnifying and hit the sun with the ants. Like, go find a real hobby. And also, why would you be Kevin Watkins letting people use your motorcycle to do science experiments? Make it make sense.
Or murder experiments.
Murder experiments. Yeah. So they realized that they could do the spark plug with the motorcycle.
So they're thinking that a similar technique is going to kill Carlo.
Oh my gosh.
And his vehicle was rigged with a wire from a spark plug that's placed into his gas tank of his vehicle. And of course, the attempt fails and it doesn't detonate. And
yeah, he's just rolling around with a spark plug in his gas tank.
I don't know how it was supposed to work. You know, somebody, you know, would have to tell us how that was supposed to work. But if
you know how that would work, please call us because I need to know how they thought putting a spark plug in a gas
a wire from a spark plug in a gas tank.
They should have been in STEM classes.
I don't know. I really don't.
Keep going.
But Carlo finds it. He finds the device.
Oh.
And he actually goes back to his unit and laughs with it. It probably shows it to his fellow Marines and says, "Oh man, somebody's like trying to joke on me." Like, I mean, so he found it like to be maybe he thought it was a dummy kind of thing.
A prank.
Yeah, that's what he thought it was, a prank. So he's laughing with them, and they don't even know what he's talking about, probably. But he kind of gets a kick out of it. Marines. You know, my husband a Marine.
Yes.
You know, they'll punch each other, they'll fight each other.
They'll prank.
And it's all in good fun. They'll do like horrendous things to each other, just to make each other laugh, and they're all pretty good natured about it. So Carlo just thought, "Oh, you got me," kind of thing.
Oh my heart!
Unbeknownst to him, right? And so then Jeffrey Meisner is very disappointed. He complains to a fellow Marine by the name of Joseph Hickman that the spark plug scheme didn't work. So here's another Marine that knows about it. Here's another Marine that, is aware of an attempt.
And could you imagine Carlo's fellow Marines when he's like, "Hey, somebody," and then, we later know that he passes away. He's murdered.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how the people in his unit felt?
Right. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, he was just saying the other day.
Yeah.
Right. I just feel my heart goes out to Carlo. You're going out to help her. Your friend, boom. It almost makes you wonder.
And he really seems rather needy. This is his third wife, right? And he's been married twice, and those were failed marriages. And maybe he, for some reason, even though this woman is just treating him terribly,
all types of,
and running around on him, that he seemed to be very, very needy, kind of belying, what you think of as a Marine,
right.
He's willing to fight for his country, and he did. He was in Vietnam.
Yes, he was.
But he's really, really vulnerable when it comes to his wife. Well, Jeffrey Meisner says that he lost sleep over the fact that this detonation of this spark plug gas tank thing didn't work. He lost sleep over it because he was upset that this did not work, and he was going to have to tell Laura Troiani that, his girlfriend, I didn't kill your husband. And he lost sleep over the fact that he didn't die.
Insane. That statement is insane.
Yeah.
He lost sleep.
Right.
Because he knew
Yeah.
that Laura would be pissed.
He wanted to be her knight in shining armor in this really diabolical scheme, this very murderous plot. and he couldn't be the one. Maybe he saw that, well, Mark Schultz or Russell Sanders was the one with the grit and determination.
Right.
Hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Well, here is something I can do, and it failed. Now we set the stage because again they are bound to determine that this is going to happen. I don't know how many times they have to try, but sadly they're going to be successful. So on August 9th, 1984, Laura, she's not going to be denied. It could have taken them 10 times, 12 times. I think she was going to continue.
Right. Yes, and we're only on August 9th. Now, mind you, August 3rd, they had celebrated their 5th wedding anniversary. In 6 days, this young lady, along with 5 Marines, attempted to murder Carlo not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Right. And August 6th was that first time she had called, right? August 6th was that time
Yes.
she was like, come find
Yes.
me. So just 3 days later, they're not leaving any cooling off time. They're not like, hey, maybe
come
next
on.
week. No, because she wanted it done. She wanted it done. So Laura, Mark Schultz borrows a .357 pistol from David Shine.
Right.
And on the pretense of doing some target practice. And then Laura goes, but they don't have any ammunition. And when he asked David, hey, do you have some ammunition? David rebuffed him and said, get your own ammunition.
Thank you. Because first of all, don't get in the habit of borrowing people's guns. Okay. Don't let anyone borrow your weapon. Second of all, how are you going to borrow from me and then ask me for bullets?
Right. And the other thing is, my husband being a Marine, he said that, you can have weapons on base, but they have to be stored in the armory. So you have to have, of course, they have to be registered, and you have to store them in the armory. So it seems it seems a little loose on this, that they were violating, the policy
and the protocol,
with this weapon, because it might have been between the two of them. It wasn't in an armory. It would have had to been checked out,
right?
And
all these steps,
right? Exactly. So they could have gotten in trouble just for that. They could have,
goodness,
maybe been
Laura.
Right.
Who is she? I mean, we know who she is, but come on, girl.
So that day, Laura goes to the local Kmart. And by the way, the Kmart was on Mission Avenue in Oceanside, and it was next to the police station.
I know exactly where you're talking
Oceanside
about.
Oceanside Police Station.
I know exactly where you're talking about. The Kmart blue light special. Right. And then there used to be, this was years after the case, but it used to be Nautilus Fitness Center in that same shopping center, because my mom used to teach aerobics classes every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. And yes, I would always be like, can we go to Kmart after? Because I loved the Little Caesars in there. So that's my little trip down memory lane. So they go to Kmart to go buy bullets. To
purchase bullets for the weapon. And that was, that was going to be then the chosen murder weapon. Now, did they have bullets for the first gun? Remember the first attempt they had a gun?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I have no idea on that. But now they're going to have bullets. They have bullets. And that evening between 8 and 9 p.m., this is August 9th, they go to the apartment of Diane and Randy Gray with their with her 2 children.
Right.
So now they're going yet to another place to let other people know, to plot another, how many people know? I imagine at this time, probably 30 people, maybe that's an exaggeration, but probably 24 people know about this, whether they're really taking it seriously or not. 24 people know about this.
Right.
Okay.
And at this point, they could have all just band together and been like, hey, let's all turn Laura in.
Yeah.
All this time. 9 days. Come on. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So they arrive at the Grace apartment slowly, I guess, to have a murder meeting, and so they're huddling together in somebody else's apartment, and they're whispering. And so I think it is that, again, Diane and Randy, they get concerned, like, what's going on? What are they talking about? I thought you guys were over to have a drink with us. I thought we were going to watch a movie, put a puzzle together. What are you guys just huddling about? Yeah. And so they're concerned. And Sanders says, hey, never mind. We don't want you to get involved any further. Well, you're in my apartment.
Thank you. I'm like, you're in my home talking about murder.
Yeah.
They couldn't take a night off and just enjoy a shot of Fireball and a Corona.
Because that's the night. So
Yikes.
The group leaves the apartment with Jeffrey Meisner riding on the back of Watkins' motorcycle. Okay. Laura, Mark Schultz,
Yes.
Russell Harrison, and Russell Sanders, along with Laura's 2 children, drive away in the car. So no car seats. She's got a Ford, I think it's a 1968 Ford Galaxy. So
Yeah,
it's
the
probably got a really
Galaxy.
big seat. But these kids aren't in car seats. They piled all these Marines and 2 kids, and then they go up to the 7-Eleven on Vandergrift Boulevard, which, if you're familiar with what we call the rear gate, the back gate,
Yes,
there's
back
a
gate.
7-Eleven
Yeah.
there, and
You know what? First of all, they would not be doing all this driving around right now if they knew if the gas prices look like they do now. Guess what? Nobody would have got murdered because nobody would have any gas money to go anywhere.
That's true.
Sheesh.
That's true. Especially a Ford Galaxy, which is sucking down the
Yeah,
gas.
everybody better kick down for gas. If you don't
Right,
have gas money,
right.
guess what? You should not be murdering people.
So Sanders and Watkins, they call Carlo on a payphone, presumably acting as good Samaritans. How many times
Yes.
has he gotten this phone call? Another good Samaritan.
Right? I said, all these good Samaritans keep calling that my wife has, her car is broken down.
And I'm assuming that they would switch off on these phone calls because you don't want the same Marine
voice over
voice.
every time. So your wife's always in distress. I'd be like, guess what, Laura? Give me the keys to your car. You're done. You're
Don't
done.
take the kids anywhere.
Don't take the kids anywhere. You don't go anywhere. Guess what? I'm just going to drive you to where you need to go. She's ripping and running.
It's crazy. It's
And
crazy.
God bless Carlo. Like you said, he was just needy and wanted to belong and really wanted to give it his all in this marriage, because 2 days prior to this, you were driving around for 4 hours with your best friend. Now she went to a Tupperware party. Guess what, Laura? You're not going anywhere until we figure out this car situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's buy you
poor
let's buy you
Carla.
a new car.
I'll throw in a divorce, alimony, child support, and a car. She probably would have
And he
said,
probably
like,
would have done it.
and she probably would have said,
done it.
no, I still want to murder him.
No, I need the insurance money.
I need the
I
insurance.
deserve it. I want that 95 grand.
You deserve something.
So they tell Carlo that his wife's car has broken down,
Right.
and they give him directions to a remote location off of North River Road. And, North River Road is, in the 80s, it would have been much more desolate. Now it's a little bit built up. If
Right.
you drive off North River Road,
Yeah.
off of Vandergrift,
Yes.
there's
Homes.
a rec center now,
Yep.
the Melba Bishop Rec Center. There's other
Pickleball.
things, but
Yeah.
there's nothing out there in the 1980s. And,
Right.
there's a lot of agriculture
Yes.
and farm property and
Correct.
things like that. But this is really, really there's no street lights. This is a dark road in the 1980s. And what was Laura doing out there? I mean,
Don't even
I'm
get
just
me
trying,
started.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. Meanwhile, Carlo was already worried about his wife,
Yeah.
and he had called a friend. Her name was Stephanie Howard, to ask if she knew
Yeah.
where Laura was at. He was already worried before
I'm
he
like,
even
we
gets
got
that phone
Stephanie,
call.
we got Diane, we got the Sanders, we got the two Russells, we got
Kim
the
Hartman.
Kim, all these names. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, you guys.
So even before he gets a distress call from these good Samaritans,
He was already like, Laura,
he's
Laura
already
probably.
looking for her.
Yeah.
He's already concerned for his wife. Even if he's not, concerned because he thinks like, oh, she's probably, running around.
Ripping and running.
Running around. I want my kids home.
Yes.
I want my wife home.
Yes.
I'm tired of this.
Yes. And first of all, there is no Tupperware on the planet, no disrespect, that I would be outside my home past midnight with my kids.
And if listeners remember that's the story that she would later
Yes.
say. Her friend Annabelle Thompson, I was at a Tupperware party.
Is that a Tupperware party?
yeah.
Be so for real.
At midnight, at 1
midnight.
o'clock,
Yeah.
and my kids were with me, by the way, because they're great little salespeople. Off the top. You can do it, baby. So Laura,
gosh.
along with Russell Harrison and Mark Schultz, they drive to the location that they had chosen for the ambush.
Right.
Along North River Road, which if back during this era, North River Road was in the northeast portion of the city, and the road was basically very isolated, a 2-lane road.
So with Laura calling the police department because she was, quote unquote, worried about her husband. And ironically, they had to go to the same 7-Eleven where her children were left while the murder was happening. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Yes.
crazy.
They all use the same payphone. It is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
payphone. Yeah, yeah. 7-Eleven got a lot of action. So off of North River Road, it's dark. There's a little turnoff there. It's a perfect little place, I guess, for an ambush, and so they thought. It's a dirt turnoff, and it's about 3 miles east of Vandergrift Boulevard. And then a clerk would remember and testify at the 7-Eleven
Yeah.
that 2 little children, about midnight, are standing outside with 2 young Marines, probably for 45 minutes,
Come on.
waiting in the middle of the night, waiting for their daddy to be killed, and they don't know this.
Right.
Jeffrey Meisner would later say in his parole testimony that, he didn't say anything to the children. He didn't try to comfort them, talk to them, ask them questions. I think one of the parole officers asked, did you ask them if they had been molested? He goes, no.
Oh, no.
But, it's not funny, but.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like this listeners and viewers, you have to understand that we are taking a deep dive. We are on episode 6 and we just are going over the attempts and her family background and his family background and them trying to save Carlo trying to save the marriage and all this. So you just get to the point of like, girl, be so for real.
Yeah, exactly.
Be so for real.
Right.
Like as a mom, as a wife, all these things where it's like innate that you would, right from wrong. Like you would think that there's that internal compass that says it is not appropriate for my kids to be standing outside of a 7-Eleven on a Friday night.
With 2 Marines that are willing to kill my husband.
Yeah.
What are they willing to do to my children?
And you're bringing everyone into your mess. That clerk, she has to go testify, has to go testify. Like there is no regard for anyone.
No.
And my heart goes out to the children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They did not know that night that they were never going to see their daddy again.
Right.
They didn't know why they were there. I imagine that, they had been drug around, so many times by their mother that this was par for the course. But, bring us into that night then.
Yeah. 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 So they're standing outside the 7-Eleven. She's made the distress call.
Yeah.
They're waiting. So now the kids and the 2 Marines, I'm like, okay, Portia, you got this. The 2 Marines are at 7-Eleven.
Yes.
Carlo is now on his way in his Mustang, right? And he's going up North River Road, which at this time is so rural. There's development now, but there was no development, not a lot of lighting. And then he comes upon Laura's Galaxy, her car.
Right.
And so, and my biggest thing was like, she never got out of the car.
No.
She just had the lights on and he was walking towards her.
Right.
And then.
Yeah. The murder plays out.
Yeah.
Well, she watches the whole thing. Mm-hmm. She's an audience.
Right.
I can't help but think that that's what she had waited for, was to see her husband pull up. She taps the brake lights for the 2 Marines that are hiding in the bushes to say, this is the one, because it could have been another person maybe stopping to see if she needed help.
Right,
but
right.
No, this is the one. And she sits there behind the big windshield of that big Ford Galaxy car, and she has a front row seat to see her husband get out of the car and then, murdered, by Mark Schultz.
Yeah.
And, she would later say that she was disassociated. She would later say that she was in fear, but that's not true because she had lived for this day. Mm-hmm. She couldn't stand for him to be alive.
Right.
It had to be done. She was furious that it wasn't done. Mm-hmm. And now really she gets more than she'd asked for because she gets to see it all play out.
Right.
The other attempt, those other attempts, she wasn't even going to be there. He was going to be killed in a parking lot where she was not going to be.
Right.
She wasn't going to be in the apartment when his throat was slit.
Right.
She wasn't going to be able to see the explosion from the gas tank. But
Right.
here now, she gets to sit front and center and watch this murder of her husband. And meanwhile, again, at midnight, 2 of her 2 little children, 3 and 5 years old, are being watched by 2 Marines who are willing to be part of this murder plot.
Yeah. And for her to say that she disassociated, but you had from August 3rd to August 10th, not even discussing the months of planning and soliciting for the murder of your husband, but you had from August 3rd to August 10th. And the best you could say is, I disassociate.
Right.
Ma'am, it's been on your mind continuously.
Yes.
Continuously. And I could...
And in the months before that, because, that summer, she was sleeping with numerous men asking for a hitman. Will you kill my husband? I'm looking for someone. Do you know anybody to kill my husband? And so here it is. She was not disassociated.
No.
This is just a way for her to distance herself from any culpability.
Right.
She's the one who set this all in motion. These Marines did not know Carlo Troiani. This was not their plan. Didn't know where he lived, didn't know anything about him. She had gathered these young Marines who now called themselves gremlins, who are these little evil creatures who come out at night for destruction. And she had sprinkled the water and set them on fire.
Yes.
And here, now it had taken place.
And I couldn't even imagine when, she's like a villain, obviously, in this story. And it's like, I'm fine. I could just imagine the last attempt, right? And she was furious. She was pissed. She was pissed. And so on Friday, August 10th, she was like, all right, let's see to it. No, I'm going to come with you guys, and I'm going to make sure that it's done. She was doing everything but having the weapon in her hand.
You'll know because I'll tap the brake light. I'm sitting in the car. It's not going to, he's going to find me this time.
Right. Fine. I could just see her. Fine. I'll do it. Right. I'll do it. Everything but that. Yeah. And so just tragic. And, as we move along in this, again, it's a 10-part series. We have 10 episodes. We start from beginning to end. And in episode 7, I'm going to give a little snippet. But in episode 7, it reads, Laura Troiani would describe herself as helpless to stop the murder of her husband, an event she had longed for, recruited for, and set in motion. As he was shot by Mark Scholes, with bullets purchased by Laura, Carlo's last words were to her a cry for help. But rather than help him, she left her husband for dead by the side of that dark road. And I just want those words to sit with our listeners and our viewers, that although we have discussed this and there's been moments of, girl, what are you thinking? Young Marines, what are you thinking? In episode 7, we're going to deep dive into the success of her evil, manipulative, no accountability whatsoever murder, and the way that she got 5 young Marines to partake.
And the aftermath and everything it left in its wake. So tune in.
So tune in again. This is Coastal Crimes. You can like, subscribe, follow. I'm Portia Locker.
I'm Christy Hawthorne.
Thank you to our listeners and viewers, and we will see you next time. Thank you.